Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. And today, the Washington Commanders have traded wide receiver Jahan Dotson to the Philadelphia Eagles. And honestly, at the time this morning when this trade happened, it shocked me. Not just the fact that the Commanders traded Jahan Dotson, that wouldn't shock me. That just surprised me. I'd be like, okay, I didn't see them doing that. But, solid trade. They're getting some nice draft picks back. But it's the team they traded him to. It's the Philadelphia Eagles, their division rival. Rarely see division rivals make trades with each other. But since April, these two teams have made two trades. Washington has let Philadelphia just get better. Washington traded up with Philadelphia for Cooper DeJean to get drafted in the second round for Philadelphia. And now they send Jahan Dotson to Philadelphia. Let's go over the trade details. So Jahan Dotson is going to Philadelphia with a 5th-round pick, while 2 7th-round picks and a 3rd-round pick are headed to Washington. Jahan Dotson had a very solid second season. Look, I think for a second-year guy who is playing alongside a guy who, yes, Sam Howell made some good plays. He did some solid things. I'm not saying he was terrible because he did have his great moments. He had his good games. But this is a guy who also had some terrible games last year and led the NFL last year in interceptions with 21. So I think this is a guy who, in Jahan Dotson, would have had a better season playing with Jaden Daniels, which I think if you look at it as well, he could have a better season playing with Jalen Hurts. But the other thing is, he goes from being the wide receiver 2 in Washington to the wide receiver 3 with Philadelphia. So I don't know if I see him getting 500 yards with Washington playing on a Philadelphia team that runs the ball a lot with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. They also have to throw the ball to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and also Dallas Goedert. This is a heavy offense. Now I think Jahan Dotson could have been a guy who got in the area of 600 to maybe at the most 900 receiving yards with the Washington Commanders this year. Terry McLaurin is a guy who I don't think you can fully depend on him staying fully healthy. Now, I'm not saying that, he's not going to stay fully healthy. We'll see how he does this year. But he has had some injury, problems in the past. I mean, he's been healthy in these last couple seasons, but 2019 he did miss a total of 2 games. 2020 missed a total of 3 games. So, and has had a couple situations where even though he played every game last year, 2023, there were some situations where he'd leave a game, mid-game or, would be questionable. There were a lot of games where he was questionable. So even though there are, he does play in every single game, there were a lot of games last year where Terry McLaurin wasn't fully healthy. He was a guy last year who was healthy every single game for Washington, but there were a couple games for him last year where he was on the field, but he wasn't fully healthy. And I'm very interested to see how things will go for him. So I thought Jahan Dotson would have gotten a good opportunity this year with Washington, especially with a more efficient, better quarterback throwing the football to him in Jaden Daniels. But he's not getting that chance. And I'm not saying he's going to another quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who's terrible, because Jalen Hurts is just as good as, if not way better, than Jaden Daniels is. But the difference is Jalen Hurts has a lot of other players to throw the football to. He has A.J. Brown. He has Devontae Smith. They have a running game with himself and Saquon Barkley, and a very strong tight end who gets a bunch of targets in Dallas Goedert as well. It's not the same Washington Commanders team that really the only guy I believe is going to see the football more than Jahan Dotson in a Washington Commanders uniform is going to be Terry McLaurin. Also you can also say Brian Robinson, the running back, but I think those are only two guys in the Commanders' offense that are going to see the ball more than Jahan Dotson. But I've seen some theories that the reason why the Commanders traded Jahan Dotson to the Eagles is because they're going for Brandon Ayuk. And it was reported about 3 hours ago that the Commanders are still in play, or back in play for Brandon Ayuk. And if the Commanders trade for Brandon Ayuk, all of this makes sense. It does. Because, in this trade, they're getting back a third-round pick. And they're getting 2 7s as well. Those are some extra draft picks that they could use in a Brandon Ayuk trade. The third-round pick, I guarantee you guys, if they trade for Ayuk, that third-round pick will be included. I'm not saying they're just going to trade a third-round pick for Ayuk. There will be more that will be sent to the San Francisco 49ers. But that third-round pick is probably a pick that they might try to use to get Ayuk. They will definitely probably add a first-round pick and maybe some other draft picks with, that third-round pick. But that will be a draft pick that they just got for Jahan Dotson, and they will probably use that to try to get Brandon Ayuk. And if you look at it for Philadelphia, sure, are they kind of helping out a division rival. You're helping out a division rival by, giving them some draft picks, giving them a third, and giving them 2 7s. And either they keep those draft picks and they get some solid players, and you take the chance on them, not getting a stud in the third round or in the 7th round, or that potentially, just maybe, they're going to use that, most of those draft picks, if not the biggest draft pick, that third rounder, to get Brandon Ayuk. And I know that the Commanders become more of a scary team. They have Jaden Daniels throwing the ball to Terry McLaurin and Brandon Ayuk. But also look at the side for Philadelphia, where you add in Jahan Dotson in a 5th-round pick. Sure do the Commanders add in Brandon Ayuk, but one of your biggest threats in the NFC, if not the biggest threat in the NFC to the Philadelphia Eagles, the biggest threat to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers, a team who just went to the Super Bowl, loses arguably their number 1 wide receiver. So I think that'd definitely be a plus for the Eagles. You're definitely helping out a division rival get better. I don't know about that with potentially helping them with getting Brandon Ayuk, but you also think about it might be a little bit easier for the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the San Francisco 49ers in a potential playoff matchup if they don't have Brandon Ayuk. And I know that the 49ers, they potentially want to trade Ayuk. We'll see what happens. But I think Philadelphia helping them out, Philadelphia helping Washington out, definitely could make, San Francisco want to move him to Washington even more, because those are extra draft picks that Washington would be offering up. So it is definitely interesting. It's for just looking at Philadelphia's standpoint, because you're kind of hurting you're helping yourself, but you're also kind of hurting yourself, because you're helping yourself at the point where one of your biggest threats in the NFC, just in the conference, and probably the one team that I think would stop Philadelphia from potentially getting to the big game in the Super Bowl. Because I honestly think with the addition Philadelphia made with Saquon Barkley and a healthy Jalen Hurts, and now adding in Jahan Dotson, and then Philadelphia making some improvements on defense, drafting Cooper DeJean, also some other additions they've made on defense. I think Philadelphia is probably the second best team in the NFC outside of San Francisco. I think there are a couple other teams in the NFC. Look, Dallas has some solid. They have a solid team, but there's an uncertainty with CeeDee Lamb, and not only that, but also there's no running back for Dallas, and Dallas chokes in the postseason. I really like Green Bay. I really like Detroit. I think those are. I think the four best teams that have the best shot going in. Going into the playoffs. The 4 teams that I think have the best shot to make it to the Super Bowl and represent the NFC: San Francisco 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles, Detroit Lions, and Green Bay Packers are the 4 teams I think have the best shot. And I think the Eagles' biggest threat are the San Francisco 49ers. So you help your division rival get better and add in Brandon Ayuk and your defense. And I will say, thank God you have a good secondary to deal with this, but your defense has to go up against Terry McLaurin and Brandon Ayuk with Jaden Daniels throwing the ball to them. It will be interesting if that happens. You'll have to go up against that offense right there 2 times a year, and you deal with that, but you help the 49ers get worse. So let me know your thoughts on the trade for the Eagles getting Jahan Dotson. Let me know your thoughts on the Commanders getting rid of Jahan Dotson, getting a 3rd-round pick and 2 7s. But also the Eagles are getting a 5th-round pick as well in this deal. And the Commanders are potentially going after Brandon Ayuk. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out.